Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. We're back with our morning show with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist. And I'm here with my main man, Frank. Frank, say what's up to the people.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. It's great to be back. And did you have a good weekend, my man?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much.
I wasn't with you
And
on the.
it was just too fast. It was
Yeah,
just way too fast.
absolutely. Mine was actually a little slow. But today's not slow because it's a crazy Fed week and we're excited about it. So make sure you keep tuning in, my friends, because there's a lot going on this week, a lot going on with the markets. And I'm sure you're going to be interested in all the stuff we've got coming up. But right now, if you remember, you can go to pulsewavetrading.com. And this, it may look like just a video embed, but it's more than that. It's separate from what you see on YouTube. It's separate from what you see on Rumble and Twitter and Facebook and anything else I forgot we're streaming to. And that this continues after the broadcast so that members can use this exclusive chat to ask their questions to Dex while he's still live for the members. And the video continues here after the YouTube, after the Rumble. It's all happening here if you're a member of our world famous bullpen. Hold on, it's loading, it's coming. I clicked on it. There it is. So at least there's the sales copy. So check this out. Find out all about how this works. Dex has his A.T.A.C trade reports, the Algo Trigger Trend Alert Catcher system that we publish reports to our members every single night. We update thousands of individual trade reports inside of these packages. So learn all about this and what you can get at pulsewavetrading.com. And if you're a member, please come take advantage of this. Many of you have been members for a while and you have the reports and you're not really used to our consistent twice a day bullpen. Well, once on Sunday, twice Monday through Thursday, where Dex places his orders, takes your questions. So make sure you take advantage of that. It's also available to stream right away. You could see the past episodes right here for your replays. So if you're a member, take advantage of that. It's absolutely fantastic. If you're new, the evening watch list is huge. Dex shows you what he's doing. It's great. So, all right, I'm actually gonna be quiet and take myself out and let you do your show, Dex.
Thank you very much, my man. I
Fun.
appreciate you.
All right, me too.
All right, folks, we do have quite a bit to talk about this morning. And I'm just trying to decide, you know, which way to go. Which way should we go? Like I said, there is a lot going on. So with that being said, how about we just start with the overnight markets and take it from there, and then we'll see after that what happens. Let's see here. If I can share my screen with you. All right, here we go. So we have the U.S. dollar index still holding on to the 103 handle at 103.46. We have the euro down a pip at 109.31, pound sterling down 5 at 127.40, and the Aussie up 2 pips at 65.82. Bitcoin futures are down $1,485 this morning at 67,680. The overnight high was 69,305. And the Ethereum futures are down 146 at 3,560. It did rally up to 3,703 in the overnight market. Crude oil futures up 42 cents, trading at $81 a barrel. We have nat gas up a nickel, trading at $1.70. Gold futures up $2.10 an ounce this morning at $2,163.60. We have silver futures up 2 cents, trading at $25.40 per ounce, trading in a tight range. It did dip to a low of $25.16 an ounce. Overnight high was $25.52 per ounce. And gold futures have a very tight range too. Overnight high $2,167.10 an ounce. Overnight low $2,149.20 per ounce. And we have copper up 3 pennies at $4.15. Dow futures up 147 points at 39,300. E-mini S&P 500 up 54 and 3/4 points at 5237 half. E-mini Nasdaq 100 up 310 points this morning at 18,370 and a quarter, and that's off of all the Nvidia news. Then you have the Russell going the opposite direction, down 5.3 points at 2,058 even. Beans right now pretty much flat at $11.97 per bushel. We have corn relatively flat. It's trading at $4.36 a bushel, and wheat also, pretty much flat, trading at $5.29 a bushel. So for the most part, pretty much quiet, average type of a Monday. But now let's take a look at our headlines. So we have why the scale of Putin's landslide wins so much, why Ukraine drones attack multiple U.S. refineries in the campaign against Russia's strategic energy industry. And Trump couldn't bring himself to condemn Putin after Alexei Navalny's death. And Sacramento will soon give low income Black and Native American families $725 a month, no strings attached. And we'll talk more about that later. Dell workers can stay remote, but they're not going to get promoted. So they're saying you can work from home all you want, but don't go looking for a promotion because you're not getting it. And the end of the realtor monopoly. Market gurus are getting worried about a bubble. Experts like former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers are worried about stocks' lofty valuations. With stocks outpacing earnings, it's an issue. But Larry Summers doesn't have to worry. Isn't he worth like $100 million? So I don't think he's really concerned about stock valuations. What part of the stock market will get the AI lift next? NVIDIA, which makes AI enabling GPU chips, was the initial benefactor of the AI boom, but Goldman Sachs sees three more broad stages of the AI trade. That includes infrastructure players behind the tech and software and IT services with tools that will help companies utilize AI. Bitcoin's looming halving feels like a big deal. The token's fourth halving, which is expected to take place in April, is unlike others before it. Crypto market experts say that it's unlikely to be a sell the news event as the excitement surrounding spot ETFs continues to build, they said. All eyes are on NVIDIA's Jensen Huang. The NVIDIA CEO is set to host his GPU technology conference this week. NVIDIA employees are already referring to it as the Woodstock of AI, and Huang is anticipated to lift the lid on B100, the next generation version of H100 GPU, which will be a big deal if so. AI's hottest new job, demand for prompt engineer roles, has skyrocketed amid the ChatGPT hype. That's probably because you don't need a formal tech background to do the work, and companies are offering salaries that echo the buzz. But some are warning that the job is merely a fad. Advance could win big from Reddit's upcoming IPO. Let's see here. It has a owner stake in Reddit that's worth about $1.7 billion if the social news company's listing this week pans out the way bankers are expecting. It's a rare case of a big media company investing in a digital property and not living to regret it. So they think. Quince versus Quince. There's Quince, the three Michelin starred restaurant founded in San Francisco in 2003. And there's Quince, the e commerce startup known for affordable cashmere that launched in 2020. The restaurant is suing the startup, which now sells cookware, for encroaching on its territory. The startup says it's done nothing wrong. So, which Quince will come out on top? The shame of LinkedIn, as much as it is a professional platform, something about posting on LinkedIn feels really personal, but that's not a dunk on the platform. It's actually pretty helpful. You just have to get over the cringe part. Some dinks want kids, but can't afford them. In the current economic climate, more people are deciding that having children is too expensive. That's the dark side of the dual income, no kids lifestyle. In other news, I'm a junior in high school. Here's the real reason my generation is falling behind. Target is taking a chunk of its ad business in house to compete with Amazon and Walmart. Anthropic backer Menlo Ventures is preparing for a gold rush of infrastructure startups. Solving the looming retirement crisis means thinking differently about aging, economists say. We asked ChatGPT and Claude to analyze Biden's cognitive abilities based on the Joe Biden Robert Hur transcript. Their verdict: the president is doing fine. Well, of course, you're going to make sure that you code things that are positive for your benefactors. Duh. Did you really think ChatGPT was going to say something negative about a Democratic president? Or any Democrat for that matter, or any left leaning politician for that matter? No. So, what happened today? Well, Don Lemon will release his interview with Elon Musk. And that's pretty much all that's happening this morning. But let's talk about Sacramento, California, who will soon give low income Black and Native American families $725 a month, no strings attached. Well, for those of you who thought that universal basic income was not going to ever happen, well, it's happening, and it's been happening. They've been piloting it at different locations worldwide, actually. You just don't get a lot of press coverage for it, but it is happening. And it's interesting that it's happening and being announced here in California. California has been on a wild ride lately with a lot of weird laws and just weird things. That's why a lot of wealthy people have been abandoning the state because of their weird draconian type laws. So here's the thing: they have approved a plan to give low income families $725 a month. Now, just so you know, you really can't buy anything with $725 a month. Now, if they were giving them even $1,700 a month, that still wouldn't even pay rent. So $725 a month sounds really nice, but that's nothing. Even the stimulus checks were more than that. But the money will go to qualifying Black and Native American families. And the basic income plan is part of a 6-step strategy to reduce child poverty in the country. Sacramento County is joining a growing list of places around the United States offering no strings attached payments to its lowest income residents. The Sacramento Board of Supervisors approved the basic income pilot program last week. It will offer $725 a month to low income Black and Native American families. The country is funding the program through a partnership with United Way. You remember the commercial from the 80s? The United Way campaign. You remember that? Come on. Sacramento County has partnered with United Way for other basic income programs in the past. About 100 families received $300 a month from the county in its first program, which began in the June of 2021 and lasted through May of 2023. So from June of 2021 to May of 2023, you had this first of its kind programs where 100 families received $300 monthly from the country. And then it's weird. But hey, Sacramento thinks they can do it, so they're going to do it. United Way is still tracking the results of that program, but an initial report says that 3 out of the 4 participants said they were more confident than they could reach their financial goals after joining the program. How can you reach your financial goals with $300 a month? I don't see that happening. But the director of Child, Family, and Adult Services for the county spoke at the County Board of Supervisors meeting on Tuesday, and she said the Guaranteed Income Program is just one piece of a 6-step plan to eliminate child poverty. But data collected by the county shows that Black children are 4 times more likely to be removed from their parents by the state than white children in the county. Native Americans are 2 times as likely to be removed. Our ultimate goal is to promote self sufficiency, family stability, and then reduce involvement with the juvenile justice system. Many other counties, cities, and states around the country are also experimenting with basic income projects to address rising poverty and housing insecurity. I like how they like to use euphemisms and downplay things, housing insecurity, instead of just saying homelessness. They want to say housing insecurity. And instead of saying starvation, they'll say food insecurity. Participants in these programs largely say that they spend most of the money they receive on basic needs like food and paying rent. In Baltimore, the Baltimore Young Family Success Fund gives young parents $1,000 a month. The director of policy of the Cash Campaign of Maryland previously stated that the survey suggested participants mostly spent their money on the same general necessities such as housing and food. You don't say. In Austin, officials gave $1,000 a month to low income families from May of 2022 to August 2023 to help boost housing rates. Researchers found that on average, program participants said they spent more than half of the cash they received on housing. Sacramento County safety officials surveyed community members to help form its strategy for the program. And the main areas where people expressed need were basics like food, diapers, transportation, housing, affordable childcare, and accessibility services. The basic things that pretty much every family needs. The basic income pilot will start sending out payments in July of 2024 and will distribute the payments for 12 months. So what are you supposed to do after the 12 months? I guess you're just out of luck, right? So that's interesting, especially for those that this money is going to make the difference between them eating and not eating, or being on the streets, or having a place to rent. So that's the messed up part. You give someone something, and then you take it away from them. If you're going to do it right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why play these games? If you say you want to help people, 12 months is not going to do it. That's not really even a cash injection. It's just not. And you give it to them and then you take it away. That's like really foul. You get them used to it and then you just snatch it away. But that's just not, California. That's all the other states that are doing this too. And it's funny that California would mention this and put this in the press, but they don't want to talk about SB 145, the bill that just passed. That's right. If you're not familiar with California's SB 145 that passed, well, they basically just said that pedophilia is now legal in California. That's right. Now, a 20-year-old, 21-year-old adult can have relations with an 11-year-old child and not be listed on the sex registry as a sex offender. Now, I know some of you say, "Well, that's not necessarily true," but you need to read the legislation. All right, because regarding Section 289, it states that They shall not be required to register if at the time of the offense the person is not more than 10 years older than the minor, as measured from the minor's date of birth to the person's date of birth. Did you get that? So, yes, a 21-year-old adult can have relations with an 11-year-old and not have to register on the sex offenders list. Yeah. And if it sounds like a lot of, oh, that's not true. They just made the law, a little more equal for everyone. Yeah, except for children, right? The ones who are most affected by this equality and love is love. Yeah, this is an attempt to normalize pedophilia, and it's messed up. Think about it. You thought one thing and they passed something else. All right. They were pushing the word equality to make you think, oh, this is good legislation, because equality sounds better than inequality, but it's nonsense. A sexual act with a minor shouldn't need levels of equality, inequality to determine the reprehensibility of the said act itself. This whole law is nothing more than a loophole for pedos and groomers. This leaves teenagers, especially girls, to prove they were groomed or attacked. So stop trying to make this a law about love and start looking at it for what it is. All right? It's injustice toward children, especially girls between the ages of 12 and 17 that are groomed or raped. This is nonsense. Yeah, you are now living in a country where a state has decided that this is okay. And you don't have to register. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up, folks. You just really can't. But this brings up another point, because on one hand, they make it sound like, oh, we're doing something nice for people. We're trying to help the poor. But then you put laws in effect that are going to hurt the poor even more, because poor people can't afford lawyers. Poor people are ignored when it comes to justice, because they can't afford to buy justice. So, folks, this is not going to end well. Okay, it's just not. We are now living in George Orwell's 1984, and it would appear that we've been living here for a long, long time. Did you know that they now have a new form of technology called invisible flying objects? Let me be more specific, because some of you probably have not heard of this. But yes, engineering researchers at Northwestern University have managed to develop and construct the first flying microchip in the world. Sounds pretty awesome and cool, doesn't it? Sounds rad. But instead of implementing this astonishing feat for the improvement of people's lives, no, no, no. The opposite seems to be the case. Yeah. These invisible flying objects, like in 1984, will be programmed and used by organizations such as the World Economic Forum for population surveillance to detect so-called thought crimes on the part of citizens. Oh, you think that this is just talk, do you? Yeah, thought crimes is now a thing. Okay? Thought crimes. Minority Report is here now today, people. While everybody was jumping up and down because of AI technology and NVIDIA being just shy of $1,000 a share, here we go. Here we go. The World Economic Forum will be using the flying microchip technology for population surveillance. First of all, isn't it against the law for anyone to encroach in a sovereign country's airspace without permission? And what country is going to allow a hostile entity to fly surveillance over its population? Would the US allow China to fly spying stuff over the country to spy on its population? No. Remember the balloon incident, the spy balloon that the US shot down, the Chinese spy balloon, so they say? But you're going to let the World Economic Forum fly flying microchips over your airspace so they can surveil your population, so they can detect thought crimes on the part of the citizens? We don't need to spell this out for you, do you? This will be done with a view to controlling people in a fail-safe manner, anticipating supposed criminal action before it is committed. How can you prove a negative? You can't. If you are arrested right now, let's say that the authorities are claiming you just caught a body and you're under arrest, and you say, I don't even know that person. I didn't kill anyone. And they say, well, and then you say, you don't have any evidence because I didn't do it. And they look at you and say, we don't need any evidence. It's up to you to prove that you didn't do this. How in the world are you going to do that? How are you going to prove that you didn't do that? But see, in this new 1984 world, it goes beyond you proving that you didn't do it. Now they want you to prove that you didn't think about doing it. You ever get mad with someone to the point where you just, you wanted to strangle them or something? Cause bodily harm and injury to them? Well, that's a crime now in this new society. Because if you think about hurting someone, you're guilty of hurting that person. If you think about anything that the state deems inappropriate, they got you. Now, you may be thinking, how in the world is the technology going to know what I'm thinking? I'm glad you asked because, welcome to the Borg. For those of you who are not Trekkies, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But in one of my favorite versions of Star Trek, which was Star Trek The Next Generation, that was my all-time favorite, there was a scene when a member of the Borg was talking to another member. He was like, he approached him. He was like, what's up? What's good? And the other Borg member was like, what's up? I'm all right. What's up with you? He was like, well, the reason why I'm approaching you is because we can't hear your thoughts. What's going on? Why have you disconnected yourself from the Borg? Oh, no, I didn't disconnect myself. Well, you did because we can't hear your thoughts. So why can't we hear your thoughts? Now, you're probably laughing right now. You think it's a joke. You think it's funny. Laughs and giggles. But it's not. They've already instituted the Borg. It's been in existence for over 2 decades, and all of us are connected to it. It's called the internet. What happens when your smart devices connect to the internet? You are now connected to other people who are connected to the internet. The Internet of Things. Your cars, your home, your appliances, your computers, your phones, your tablets, your video game consoles, all of these devices connect to the Borg, i.e., the internet. Everyone's connected. So guess what? The powers that be can now read your thoughts, i.e., look at your browsing history, look what sites you're going to, and what you're typing in so-called quote unquote private chat rooms. You've been connected to the Borg all this time and you didn't even realize it. And now they want to make it official. So Elon Musk says, hey, I got the chip you can put into your brain. We've already done the first successful surgery, the first successful implant. The chip is now in the brain. So what do you think these flying machines are going to be reading? The chips in your brain. So see, you thought you were being cute when you was like, how are they going to read my thoughts? They ain't going to be reading my thoughts. Uh, Wrong. Elon Musk has already developed the chip, the technology that fits into the flying machines. So all the flying microchip has to do is connect to the chip in your brain, and now it can read your thoughts. You thought that this was some George Jetson thing? You thought this was a joke? You didn't know this was real, that this is happening? Well, it's happening. While you were busy being entertaining yourself to death, you didn't realize that the powers that be were thinking of new, interesting ways to take you down. Yeah, that's what's happening. Now, this news highlights one of the values of science fiction, anticipating what may and often does transpire in real social space. As is the case here this morning, listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. This is real. This is not a conspiracy theory, it's a conspiracy fact. It's happening. Anyone familiar with Steven Spielberg's science fiction film of 2002, Minority Report, would recognize here the real world counterpart of the film's narrative, which involves precisely around the ability to detect criminal thoughts and intentions in the minds of individuals before these crimes, notably murders, of course, are committed. The difference is that in Spielberg's film, the ability to sense, anticipate future crimes belongs not to technical devices, but to three clairvoyant humans called precogs, on whose psychic anticipatory capacities the members of the pre-crime police unit depended upon. So we've just replaced the clairvoyance with microchips and AI. Evidently, the control freaks of today want nothing as potentially fallible as humans, no matter how psychically gifted, to monitor and control fickle, potentially rebellious people. In Minority Report, some divergent reports on the prognosticated crimes occur among the precogs, precluding absolute certainty of control, hence the film's title. As if total surveillance via flying microchips is not enough, it is reported that none other than Bill Gates has patented his exclusive right to computerize the human body so that its capacity to act as a computer network can be fully utilized. Not only that, but the patent envisages utilizing human bodies as power sources for devices coupled to them, as stated in the patent application. Methods and apparatus for distributing power and data to devices coupled to the human body are described. The human body is used as a conductive medium, like a bus, over which power and or data is distributed. Power is then distributed by coupling a power source to the human body via a first set of electrodes. One or more devices to be powered, peripheral devices, are also coupled to the human body via additional sets of electrodes. That is a direct quote from the patent application. Look it up. According to the video report on flying microchips, civil liberties groups monitoring innovations in technology have understandably expressed their concern over the attempt to patent human body parts, in this case, skin. They want to patent your skin, and they argue that it should not be in any way patentable. For those that don't know, there are things that you can't patent because it doesn't technically belong to you. Like I can't go here and write up a patent to control air, or make or write up a patent for heartbeats. So you have to pay me $1 for every beat of your heart. I can't patent those things. Okay, just like they wouldn't let Jay-Z patent and copyright the color blue. Okay, just like they wouldn't let Maria Bartiromo patent and copyright Money Honey. Remember that back in the day? Because everyone called her the Money Honey back then. She wanted to get that patented and copyrighted, but she couldn't. They wouldn't let her. So as the saying goes, I would be willing to bet the farm that such refusal by those whom the technocratic neo-fascists, including Gates, see as lesser mortals would not be tolerated by them if they are in a position to decide the issue, which I sincerely hope they would not be, and this would not be the case when all ends. But again, the prescience of science fiction manifests itself here, specifically concerning the use of human bodies for the generation of power. Now, see, you thought that was a joke too in Black Mirror when they showed you the episode of them using human beings for energy. They had people pedaling bicycles all day. Think about that. That was a job. That was considered a job. Think about it. Exactly. Now, recall the cyberpunk science fiction movie The Matrix from 1999, directed by the two, excuse me, sorry. They are now transgendered sisters, all right? So the brothers who directed that movie, they're now transgender sisters, all right? Now, with its hyper-technologized depiction of a dystopian future resembling what has been taking shape around us lately in reality, the relevant aspect of the Matrix narrative pertaining to the situation of energy generated and stored in human bodies. Remember, the AI, the machines were storing and using energy that was generated from the human bodies because they had them all in pods. Remember that? Well, which Gates now wants to patent concerns the division between two classes of people, the blue pill variety and their far less numerous red pill counterparts. Now, the former includes the vast majority of humans who live in the AI generated simulated reality while lying in pods, from where they supply energy to the world run by the intracinematic matrix. By contrast, the red pill group, who have been awakened to the horror of their blue pilled condition, comprised of rebels who have launched a relentless struggle against the Matrix, which turns out to be an encompassing computer program keeping blue pilled humans captive while drawing on their physical and psychical energy to keep this elaborate simulation running. Sound familiar? Are you hearing? The resemblance with the present state of affairs is the extent world should not be overlooked. We may not literally be lying in pods with our life energy being sucked and drained out of us in order to power the world around us, but peculiarly since 2020, although it goes much further back, most people have been successfully blue pilled by the technocrats. These virtual people go about their daily business blissfully unaware that the media, the real world matrix, constantly maintain the illusion that things are occurring according to a certain causality, which red pill individuals know not to be the case. Just as in the film, Neo, an obvious anagram of quote unquote the one, is rescued from his blue pill incarceration by Morpheus, all right, or the fashioner, ironically, the god of sleep and dreams, who here acts as the agent for waking up, who offers him a red pill, which enables him to join the revolt against the Matrix. So, too, the masses who are still oblivious of the status of their reality today as a media generated simulation today need to be given a red pill to wake up. Now, fortunately for them, an organization such as alternative media is here to precisely for dispensing these red pills to those who are receptive to their availability. Now, I'm not silly, and I know that most people, there will be people who listen, to these morning shows and won't get a thing out of it because they don't hear the words I'm saying because I may have used a trigger word that triggered them and turned them off. So I understand that. But what's the lesson here this morning? Even if technological control over the media, among other things, is constantly tending towards the optimal, this is unlikely to be attained ever, given the innate desire on the part of at least some humans to resist such complete control. Like I've said time and time again, most people will not resist. The majority of voters this November will vote for Democrat or Republican. They're not going to be voting independent. They're going to reinstall the majority of their incumbents. You will see this. At the end of the elections, there will be Democrats and Republicans, some of which are incumbents who will be reelected as career politicians. People may complain about their current reality, but they're not willing to do the hard necessity to change that reality. I've told you all you need to do is vote out every Democratic and Republican incumbent and install someone who is not attached to Democrats or Republicans. Just that simple. An independent. That's all you need to do. I digress. Now, one may wonder why some individuals seem to be resistant to the siren call of technology, which appears to offer us more power than they have ever enjoyed, despite, in fact, often disempowering them in the end. While others cave in as soon as the temptation rears its alert head, the post structuralist philosopher Jean Francois Lyotard may enlighten one here. Quote, in a fascinating book translated as The Inhuman in 1981, this perspective contrasts two different kinds of inhumans. The one is perceptible in what they saw as the inhuman system of technological development at the time, which is and has the effect of colonizing people's minds. Does that sound familiar? While the other inhuman, paradoxically, could rescue us from such psychic colonizations, somewhat like the red and blue pills in the Matrix. This is how it formulates the difference between these two kinds of inhumans. All right. Now, which would make two sorts of inhumans? It is indispensable to keep them disassociated. The inhumanity of the system, which is currently being consolidated under the name of development, among others, must not be confused with the infinitely secret one, which is the soul in hostage. Now, to believe as it happens that the first can take over from the second, give it an expression, is a mistake. The system rather has the consequence of causing the forgetting of what escapes it. But the anguish is that of a mind haunted by a familiar and unknown guest, which is agitating it, sending it delirious, but also making it think. If one claims to exclude it, if one doesn't give it an outlet, one aggravates it. Discontent grows with this civilization, foreclosure along with information. Did you get that? This is what's happening to you. We've all been programmed if you live in the United States or anywhere in the West specifically. Now, unless one is familiar with psychoanalysis, the full significance of this passage, situated in the relatively brief but intellectually dense introduction of that book, will probably escape it. It'll be over their head. But the last sentence is a condensed allusion to one of Freud's masterpieces, Civilization and Its Discontents from 1929, where the latter argues that as civilizational history progresses, humanity's discontent nevertheless persists, given the conflict between human drives or instincts which have to be satisfied lest they find another disastrous expression or outlet to do so on the one hand, and then the repression of these, which unavoidably goes hand in hand with being civilized. The parallel that is being drawn here, which implicates the foreclosure of information, entails an uncompromising critique of the so-called information society, which is ours in this now day. So fast forward from 1929 to the present, here we are. All of this stuff has come to pass. So, what does this amount to? Well, first, foreclosure in psychoanalysis is a stronger term than repression. The latter refers to the process by which materials that are unacceptable to the psyche are banished to the unconscious, but which can, with the help of a skillful psychoanalyst, be brought to consciousness. Foreclosure, on the other hand, denotes the process by which an experience is not merely stowed away in the unconscious, but banished from the psyche in its entirety and irreparably. So, what's the point? The much vaunted information society is witness to a colossal loss of psychic richness in people because of the impoverishing effects of informational processes, which are accompanied by time saving mechanisms in the process interfering with the mind's ability to savor and reflect on what it confronts. Remember the microwave society thing? Well, now we're fast forward to the information age where everybody has a blue screen glued to their face, i.e., their cell phones. You can just step outside your house and look around, and you see people outside with their heads and necks bent forward, glued to their screens. That's basically what's happening here. It's not difficult to understand. So, is it going to change? Do you really see change? No. Things go from order to disorder. All right. Isn't that like the second law of thermodynamics? Everything goes from order to disorder. Well, that's what's happening here. The breaking down of society, folks. That's just something to think about as we move forward. I digress. We're going to stop it here for today. I could go on. There's a lot more to be said, but I'm going to chill right here because you need to be able to reflect. There's not a lot of reflection going on today because of the fast pace of the society. Everything's instantaneous. People are running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Think about it. Did you ever even think that there would be something called the gig economy? Did you ever think that a person would have to work 8 jobs? 8 jobs just to barely keep their head above water? So you drive for Uber, you work at a fast food restaurant, you clean offices, you do all these things. And if you're lucky, you'll get 4 hours of sleep at night. Now, what is this doing to the body long term? It's destroying your body because you're not getting the sleep and rest you need, and your body is under a constant state of stress. All right. That is not good. That is going to take years off of your lifespan. And people now have made this normalized. Gig economy has been normalized. It's if you work 2 or 3 jobs, people are like, um, I don't know. It's like that the skit from Living Color. Remember, Hey Man? He's like, Hey Man, you only have 9 jobs, man. You lazy bum. You only have 9 jobs. I have 27 jobs. One of the funniest skits we ever saw. And at the time, we didn't it didn't really hit home. It was just considered comedy. It was funny. But looking back now, were they trying to tell us something? Think about it. But that is where we are now. How they say art imitating life? So that art was imitating life, but it was time traveling. It was imitating life 20, 30 years in the future, make it 30 years into the future. Crazy, isn't it? Crazy that just 30 years, here we are, 30 years later. That's kind of frightening, pretty scary. So I want to encourage you to do something for me before we close out. Take time out to just reflect and meditate. When I say meditate, I don't mean like a Buddhist monk sitting in a empty, dark room with, cross-legged. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about just think about things. Just for once, just consider things. You know, just consider some things and really take time to reflect and research things. Don't just be dismissive. No matter how outlandish the story, you run the risk that it could be true or maybe some truth within it, but you don't know because you don't care to even inquire. And that's the dangerous part where we've become. We live in a world now where most people take no inquiry. People have lost their curiosity. No one's curious about anything. They don't care enough to be curious. And I'm sorry, ignorance is not bliss. Sometimes what you don't know can kill you. All right? Don't just be one going along with the crowd. Find out the truth for yourself, not just because someone said something. You know? Trust but verify. How about that? All right, folks. I ain't gonna hold you no more. Y'all go ahead and have a blessed day. I'll see you guys back here later this evening. And for those that are post waivers, hang out. We're gonna go private, and I'm gonna talk to you about some things. All right, so smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, so you can be kept, up to date whenever information these videos drop. And remember, the system works if you work the system. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And I'll see you guys again this evening. Peace.